The typical family of four earning $75,000 will see an income tax cut of more than $2,000, and in some cases more.
And because of these tax cuts,
tax bill in half.
Tax returns are at record highs.
For businesses of all sizes to make this the best place on earth to start a business, to invest. We have billions and billions of dollars of additional revenue coming in. We lowered the corporate tax rate so the American worker finally has a level playing field. We allowed companies to deduct every single penny of investment in new equipment, and it's called expensing. It's the biggest secret in the plan. I think it'll go down as maybe the most important element. Washington tried to change us, but that's not going to happen. Instead, we're changing Washington, and we're changing it quickly and for the better.
That's right, real change in Washington, not making Washington a bigger fat cat, cutting it to size.
That's why our economy is booming. That's why our families are thriving. That's why our businesses are growing. And that is why America is winning like never, ever before. We're setting records every day. These are victories, and they're your victories. And now what we're doing is we're straightening out our trade. Our trade has been a disaster. We were being taken advantage of as a country by many, many countries, friends and enemies and those in between. And sometimes our friends, in terms of trade, were treating us worse than the enemies.
President Donald Trump is making remarks right now. It is the 6-month anniversary of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. It's been very successful for President Trump. Let's now go to the president who is making remarks now.
Mike Kelly, my friend, and Jason Smith, our great Republican members of Congress, worked night and day to score this landmark victory. This really was a landmark victory for their constituents, but much more importantly for the country. Unfortunately, every single Democrat in the House and Senate, that's right, every single one voted against lower taxes for the hard-working Americans. And you see what's happened. It's turned out to be something very special.
Yeah,
the
who wants higher
Tax
taxes?
Cuts and Jobs Act slashed income taxes all across the board. We nearly doubled the standard deduction and did double the child tax credit, which Ivanka wanted very much. I will tell you. Stand up, Ivanka. Stand up, honey.
Now, while Trump is speaking, the crew is just pulling up all the articles and all the headlines. The good news about the jobs numbers, the wage increases, the tax cuts.
Bigger hand than the politicians. You better be careful. That means you're all in trouble. The typical family of four earning $75,000 will see an income tax cut of more than $2,000, and in some cases more.
And because of these tax cuts,
tax bill in half.
Tax returns are at record highs.
For businesses of all sizes to make this the best place on earth to start a business, to invest. We have billions and billions of dollars of additional revenue coming in. We lowered the corporate tax rate so the American worker finally has a level playing field. We allowed companies to deduct every single penny of investment in new equipment, and it's called expensing. It's the biggest secret in the plan. I think it'll go down as maybe the most important element. It's 1 year expensing. Nobody thought we'd ever see that. So incredible for starting up a business or running a business. We greatly reduced the burden of the unfair estate tax, commonly known as the death tax. You know, that's such a big thing.
Yeah, that was
most
a crime.
Farms and most small business will not pay any estate tax or death tax anymore. Such a big thing.
Good. That was a crime against the American people, that tax. Thank you, President Trump.
Opportunity zones to promote more jobs in low-income communities. We opened ANWR. That's a big one.
And the Democrats hate it.
ANWR.
Here's Trump putting jobs back in inner cities, and the Democrats hate it.
That was one that they said no president could get it for many years. I wasn't going to do it because I was angry at someone. I said I'm not going to do it. And then when I heard that Ronald Reagan couldn't do it, nobody could do it, they've been trying for 50 years, I said, oh, let's do that immediately. It's like a challenge, right? Challenge.
And he keeps winning.
And they've started that process. It's going to be something, one of the biggest in the world. We also repealed, in our tax cut plan, we repealed the most, I guess you could say, unpopular thing I've seen in a long time in politics or in legislation, the individual mandate on Obamacare.
Yeah, a forced payment. They said they wouldn't do it. They did.
Mandate. How about that?
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. Effectively killing Obamacare. Thank you, President Trump.
You have the privilege of paying a fortune in order to not pay to have bad health care. Think of that. So in other words, you pay a lot of money not to have health care. So it's not working too good.
Yeah, about $30,000 a year, that individual mandate would cost the average family, about 30 grand a year, before receiving any health care. Thank you, President Trump.
Some people come up to me, they say they like that as much as the tax cuts. That was a big thing. And Obamacare is just about over. We have come up with so many plans, and we have a plan coming out, an additional plan, Secretary Azar, coming out in a very short period of time, which is going to be, I think it's going to perhaps match your plan from Department of Labor. It's going to be something very special. 6 months after our tax cuts, more than 6 million workers have received bonuses, pay raises, and retirement account contributions.
That's right. Tax cuts are coming through. Just here, you can drive around your local city. You'll see wanted, a pay raise on the board, on the side of the walls, and everything.
I love to see happy faces, but I'll stand on line sometimes before or after a speech, and I'll be with a lot of people that want pictures for whatever reason they want a picture of me. And I stand with the police a lot. And I'll see a policeman, and in particular one in New York City. And he said, sir, I want to thank you. You've made me a hero to my wife and to my family. I've always been a horrible investor. But this year, my 401k, think of it, is up like 46%, I think he said. My wife thinks I'm a genius. She thinks I'm the greatest investor for the first time in my life.
Yeah, if you've had a 401k under Trump, you've seen massive increases.
In terms of value or worth, we've created $7 trillion worth of value for our country. And people don't know this. We're double the size, almost double the size, because we hear China, and China's terrific. And our relationship is terrific. We're straightening out the balance, and I think most people want to see that. But we're the largest economy in the world by far. And as you know, we've increased a lot over the last 1.5 years. But we're almost double the size of China and far bigger than anybody else. And we're going up very rapidly, and it's going to continue to go up very rapidly. Biggest in the world by far.
He's now thinking we can have a 6% GDP growth, folks. That is massive.
Biggest economy in the world by far. That's the only way to do it, right? Good. It really is. It's pretty good. And they helped us. A little bit, right? Just a little, but that's okay. Every little bit counts.
Absolutely.
So the share of small businesses raising benefits and pay has just set a new all-time record. And manufacturing optimism, to me, is so important because it's all about optimism, is the highest ever recorded. This is a...
And the Democrats just ignore that, and they tell you that it's not happening.
This is a statistic that's been around for a long time, highest ever recorded. Hundreds of billions of dollars are coming back from overseas. Over $300 billion was just repatriated into our country in the first quarter
That's a record.
alone. Think of that, $300 billion.
That's a record. Most
Money we never would have seen. Trillions more dollars are on their way back. And as you know, Apple announced they're going to spend $350 billion. Not million. I would have been happy with that, too. But $350 billion is being brought back. I guess the total amount they're bringing back is approximately $230 billion, and they're putting up the rest the old-fashioned way. They're bringing this money back. It would never have come back. They're going to build an incredible campus and lots of other things. We just left Wisconsin, and what Foxconn is building up in Wisconsin is literally, and I said it, the eighth wonder of the world. It's incredible what they're doing. 15,000 jobs. It's going to cost $15 billion. It is something that is so incredible you have to go see it. Nobody would believe what's happening. More than 100 utility companies have lowered prices as a direct result of our business tax cuts, saving Americans $3 billion on their utility bills. Utility bills are going down. Unemployment claims are at a 44-year low. That's a good one. 44 years. Something I am so proud of. I love it. Unemployment for African Americans is at the lowest level in the history of our country.
Now remember, when he said that at the State of the Union, the Democrats sat and pouted. Think about that.
Yeah, I'm looking at Kevin. That was a good job. You were right about that, Kevin, huh? That is something. We were all right. Everybody in this room was right. And I have to say, unemployment for Hispanic Americans, likewise, is at the lowest point in the history of our country. Unemployment for women, and now if you listened to my speech 2 weeks ago, you would have heard me say is the lowest in 21 years. Now I'm saying it's the lowest in 65 years, and soon will be the lowest in history.
And the crew's pulling up the stories about the steel workers returning to work. Steel companies that shut down during the Obama years are now reopening and hiring thousands of people.
65 years is a long time. I'm also very proud to say that unemployment for the disabled Americans has reached record lows, giving these incredible...
So this is incredible. President Trump speaking today, the 6-month anniversary of the Tax Cuts and the Jobs Act. I mean, share that video with your family and friends, folks. We're going to put that video as a segment on the Alex Jones channel. Share it with your family and friends. The crew pulled up hundreds of articles while President Trump is talking about all the massive economic success. This is key. This is how we have the red wave. Show them the success. Show them we can keep winning. The answer to a president that had no idea what he was doing with the economy and perhaps even wanted it to crash is a man who knows exactly what to do with the economy, a world-class, successful billionaire who is saving the economy. Let's go back to President Trump making comments on the six-month anniversary of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Getting a second chance at life. We are keeping our promise to buy American and hire American, and what's happening is our economy is so good, our unemployment is so low, and our employment is so high. Maybe that's an even nicer way of saying it. And people that want to get a second chance, inmates, people coming out of jail where the stigma was so great, people weren't hiring, businesses weren't hiring. They're hiring them now in record numbers. And you know what? These businesses are saying they are fantastic. They're set. And there's one gentleman in particular, he hired 10 inmates, never did it before. And he said, I wouldn't say he said all of them, but he said 7 of them are so incredible. It's not a bad percentage. I think that's a better percentage than we have. He said 7 of them are as good as he's ever had, and he's going to do a lot more of it. So there's nothing like a great economy to solve that problem, Jared,
Bingo.
right?
Bingo. You want to stop
Chris,
crime?
thank you very much,
You want to
Chris.
stop poverty? Put the jobs back in the inner cities. Put the manufacturing back in the inner cities.
Because we're one country and really one family, and we salute one great and beautiful American flag. We love that flag. And at last, our country finally has a tax system that is pro-jobs, pro-worker, pro-family, and pro-American.
Trump has seen a growth in the economy that Obama didn't see in 8 years.
Incredible citizen who has benefited from our Tax Cuts and Job Act is Lasagna Hill. I love that name, Lasagna. If I have another daughter, I think I'm going to name her Lasagna. Is that okay? Can I copy it? I like that name. Of Jacksonville, Florida. Great place. I know it well. Lasagna is the director at customer care at Crowley Marine. Following the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, Crowley was able to pay employees like Lasagna a big tax cut bonus. They took a lot of money and they gave it around to the employees. That bonus will help support the education of her two sons, Cameron and Christian.
Now, you need to understand something about this, as she looks like she's getting emotional in the background with her kids there.
Right?
President Trump has been on the phone making deals with these companies. These things don't just magically happen. He doesn't sleep. He's on the phone all night, calling all these companies, getting deals done for the American workers. I mean, this is incredible.
Thank you very much.
And he now invites her to the podium here. This is Lasagna.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the invite. It's an honor to be here today. As you said, Crowley Maritime was able to benefit from the tax reform by paying employees bonuses. And in return, my family, we were able to invest in our children's education.
Oh, but Nancy Pelosi says those are just crumbs. Your children's education is just crumbs to Nancy Pelosi. Don't you know she's worth over $100 million? Where'd she steal that money from?
He will be entering into his senior year at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia.
So she gets a bonus. She invested in her kids' education.
And my youngest, Christian Hill, he will be entering into his freshman year at Savannah State, both in the fall.
And she's up here thanking President Trump for getting the tax cuts and making the deals so that she can take that money. Instead of paying the government, she can invest it in her children. That is the entire point. That's why we want tax cuts. That's why we need tax cuts. That's why the Democrats hate tax cuts. We'll be right back with more of the Alex Jones Show. President Trump and America are celebrating the 6-month anniversary of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. President Trump is delivering remarks on that right now. Let's go back to President Trump. Yes, thank you, President Trump. Thank you so much. A businessman that knows what he's doing, not a hack like Obama that killed the economy. Perhaps he did it on purpose. Maybe he's really good at killing the economies. Maybe that's what he wanted to do. Maybe Soros was telling him to do it. Soros was invested in other countries becoming more powerful. That's, after all, how the guy made his billions.
She got the biggest by far, including you, Ivanka, and including all of my political geniuses out here. Great job. It's like you're a professional speaker. Very good. Have you done that before?
I have not.
You have not? That's
why
called
people
potential.
relate to President Trump. He's just real. He's not staged. He's not fake. He's not phony. Just a real
Another
guy.
American who has used his tax cut to give back to others is Guy Berkebile, president of Guy Chemical in Somerset, Pennsylvania, the great state of Pennsylvania. Incredible place. Guy increased bonuses, raised salaries, and purchased new equipment. Guy has also hired 30 new employees to help meet customer demand, which is actually booming right now, the best he's ever had. And here with Guy are two of his tremendous employees, Lee and Deist and Michelle Trulick. We want to ask Guy, maybe if you could come up, say a few words about the tax cuts and how it's affected your company. And I assume your people that work for you are really happy. Please. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Trump is now inviting another individual up here.
Yeah, President Trump and the members of Congress who have voted for this tax bill, I can't tell you how much it means to my company and my employees. When I founded my company in 1995, I mortgaged my house 7 times.
When Obama used to call people up for events like this, it would be quote-unquote victims or people who are now receiving a handout. Those were the two main occasions of Obama. And when I say victims, I mean like, you know, a transgender or a lesbian or someone, you know, a victim of society, or somebody that just received, you know, a handout, a welfare check, or, you know, is promised free health care or something. So that's what Obama used to come up here and tout with his stuff. And most of it was very superficial and there was no real meat to it. What did Trump do? Trump's policies delivered. So it's not a policy where you just say, oh, here's victim X, I'm going to take care of you, and here's victim Y, I'm going to take care of you, and you just virtue signal or give them something. This is a working policy that benefits everyone. So let's go back to I believe the guy's name was Guy from Guy Chemicals explaining this.
So with the tax cut money, I have been increasing salaries, and we have also increased bonuses to our employees. I have some of my employees that have come down and are sitting out here in the fourth row, and I have two right here. Michelle Trulick, her son also works for us, Stu. Michelle's one of our line leaders. She is using the additional money from her increased bonus to fix her car. I take it so she has a reliable way to work every day.
And then the mechanic gets a benefit.
And her husband are also taking a vacation, a second honeymoon, to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary this year.
And then the hotel benefits, because they have increased revenue. So that's how it works.
And Lee Deist, he's a Navy veteran.
But the left wants your money in the hands of the government. You see the difference here? The left wants your money in the hands of the government.
Back home. He is our head of maintenance. He's the guy that keeps my plant running. He and his wife have 2 young daughters under the age of 4. So he's using his additional money from his bonus to help offset his expenses for child care.
Now, so think about this. Trump brings these people out to talk about how the tax cuts, which are for everyone, he doesn't take one individual here and one individual here and say, oh, I'm going to make sure to cater to you, less than 1% of the population. He installs a policy that works for everyone. And you don't have to take your money and give it to the government. You get to keep your own money. You get to keep the money you work for. This is like, I mean, is that what this is? Are people so ignorant on economics? Are people just so ignorant? They're never taught this. They don't get it, that they don't even understand the basic principles of economics. And then they demonize this phrase, trickle-down economics. And they say, oh, trickle-down economics doesn't work. Well, okay, you know what does work? Tax cuts. That's not a trickle-down theory. That's a quit funding the corrupt government, the metastasizing, fat, overweight, obese government, and start giving yourself some of that revenue. Start funding your own life. I mean, good Lord, who enjoys government services? Am I missing something here? Who wants government services? Who wants more government services? Who's begging to go to the public sector? No one. You go to the private sector. That's where capitalism thrives. But people have been lied to about this. Now let's go back to President Trump touting the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Once again, Washington tried to change us, but that's not going to happen. Instead, we're changing Washington, and we're changing it quickly and for the better.
And try real change in Washington, not making Washington a bigger fat cat. Cutting it to size.
That's why our economy is booming. That's why our families are thriving. That's why our businesses are growing. And that is why America is winning like never, ever before. We're setting records every day. These are victories, and they're your victories. And now what we're doing is we're straightening out our trade. Our trade has been a disaster. We were being taken advantage of as a country by many, many countries, friends and enemies and those in between. And sometimes our friends, in terms of trade, were treating us worse than the enemies. And I want to just tell you that's being taken care of very well and very beautifully. Our steel industry is coming back. Never have they seen anything like what's happened over the last 4 months with steel. They were dumping steel, dumping. All over our land, they were dumping steel. And we were losing our steel business. United States Steel, the head called me up 2 days ago.
They're hiring.
It's the most incredible thing that we've ever seen. We haven't expanded in 30 years. We haven't done anything remotely like expansion. And we're now expanding and renovating areas of plants that haven't been used in forever. You remember U.S. Steel was massive. They have plants that went 1.5 miles long, and they were using little corners of plants. He said this has not happened for decades. It's back. We were in South Carolina the other night.
It's
and
incredible,
Georgetown
ladies and
Steel-
gentlemen. It is
Georgetown
truly
is a
incredible what
wonderful
Donald Trump
company.
has done for this country. And it's not even debatable. It's not debatable. The economy is so much better under Trump. It's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, just look at all the records. Please, ladies and gentlemen, share this video with your friends and family. Share this video. Share the video. We put all the news stories of all the records, all the jobs growth, everything over Trump speaking. It's powerful. Share it with your family and friends.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
I'm a nasty woman.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Extendowise, the latest product from InfoWarsLife.com, fuses all the known compounds that have been proven to be good for our hearts and cardiovascular system. And listen, everybody's got a heart. Well, actually, maybe Hillary and George Soros don't, but everybody else has a heart, and this product is amazing. So, if you have a heart and you want the very best product out there that's designed to aid a healthy heart and cardiovascular system, it's Extendowise, available at InfoWarsLife.com. And like all of our products are game changers, this baby is the most souped up, awesome version the top formulators can come up with and still be affordable. It's one of the very best heart pills out there. It's Extendowise. So get some for yourself and family and friends. It's got the very best fish oil from the fjords. It's very, very pure, very, very clean, and has the EPA type that is specifically good for the heart, cardiovascular system. It's got the properly formulated type of CoQ10 and more. It is Extendowise, now available at InfoWarsLife.com.